The war is not over yet, and it's still going on in full violence, and the Russian leadership acts as if the war is over, giving the impression that everything is back to normal. But the Ukrainians are always on alert. This puts the Russian authorities and leadership in great danger, especially in the Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories. Because in the occupied Ukrainian territories, the Russian leadership is acting as if it has established absolute sovereignty. This increases the tension in the region and raises the risk of conflict. As we have shared with you in our previous reports, the Russian administration is pursuing assimilation policies in order to establish a permanent dominance in the occupied Ukrainian territories. Part of these policies is to make Ukrainians living in the occupied Ukrainian territory an active actor in the upcoming elections in Russia. The Russian administration aims to make Ukrainians living in the occupied territories feel a sense of belonging to Russia. However, this goal seems unlikely. Ukrainians are claiming their own identity by lighting the flame of independence. The recent assassination incident is a striking proof of this. So what are the developments about the assassination? Let's take a look together. Before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you in advance for your support. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. It's been quiet in the Berdyansk region for a long time, hasn't it? It was very busy at the beginning of the war, but it has been quiet for some time. But in the last few days, the silence was broken by a major assassination. The Ukrainians are once again on the move in the Berdyansk region. As we mentioned at the beginning of our report, in the war between Russia and Ukraine, the occupied Ukrainian territories continue to be the scene of major events. The Russian leadership is trying to legitimize the occupation by making Ukrainian citizens there part of the Russia. However, this does not seem possible at the moment. The reality is quite different. Ukrainians are pushing the limits to end the occupation. The upcoming elections in the Russian Federation are eagerly awaited. One of the candidates, as you might expect, will be Vladimir Putin, the current president of the Russian Federation. Putin's party, the United Russia Party, has started to open election offices in the occupied Ukrainian territories. However, recently there has been a decline in the number of Russian propagandists working in these offices. The reason was the death of one of the United Russia Party officials in a car bomb explosion. According to reports, Ukrainian sabotage groups were behind the bomb attack. According to information from sources in the region, these saboteurs had been following an official of the United Russia Party for a long time. The party official had been making long trips in the occupied territory, visiting party offices, receiving information about the election programs, and giving instructions. The Ukrainian saboteurs assumed that this official was an important figure for the United Russia Party. In recent days, the Russian officials visited one of the United Russia Party's offices in the vicinity of Berdyansk and participated in a program here. Ukrainian saboteurs were watching him. As it was late after the program, the Russian official chose to stay in the city. This was an important opportunity for the Ukrainian saboteurs. As the night wore on, the saboteurs planted a bomb in the Russian official's car. Now all they had to do was wait for the Russian official to get into the car. In the morning, the Russian official left his accommodation and got into his vehicle. As the car started to move, the bomb devices planted onto the car was activated. Suddenly, the vehicle exploded with a loud bang, and the explosion was so violent that all was heard almost everywhere in the Berdyansk. This unexpected event once again shook Russia with a great loss. At the time of explosion, Ukrainian saboteurs were also monitoring the area, and when the Russian official's car was blown up, the saboteurs left the area, realizing that the operation had been a success. This sudden and impressive operation highlighted the weaknesses of the Russia's security measures and the courage of Ukrainians. The first statements on the matter came from the Russian Occupation Administration. The Russian Investigate Committee made the following statements about the explosion in Berdyansk. A member of the election commission in Berdyansk was killed in an attack. According to our preliminary assessments, an improvised explosive device was placed under the car of the member of the regional election commission in the morning. The bomb detonated when he entered a car parked near a house on Herzen Street in the city of Berdyansk. The victim died from his injuries in a medical institution. An ongoing investigation is underway to identify those who involved in the commission of this crime based on the forensic examinations and eyewitness testimonies. Ukrainians are trying to intimidate and threaten us. This territory is the Russian territory and they will accept this, and we will continue our struggle until they accept it. Ukrainian military intelligence officials made statements on this incident, and according to the Ukrainian military intelligence, the name of the deceased Russian occupation official was identified as Slavitsnya Samylenko. The statements of the Ukrainian military intelligence on this issue reads as follows. During the preparation for the fake election, Putin's Savitsnya Islamikov tried to curry favor for the Moscovites. She intimidated and terrorized the residents of the Berdyansk, forcing them to participate in the illegal fake vote. The Russian leadership is trying to terrorize Ukrainian citizens in the occupied territories, but our people are very sensitive to this. Ukrainians will continue to fight until the last moment to defend their territory and expel the occupiers. Russian invaders will not gain legitimacy here through fake elections. Glory and victory to Ukraine and the glorious Ukrainian residents. Ukrainian sources say that the Russian leadership continues its effortless to establish legitimacy here through the pursued democration methods, but Ukrainians are not responding positively to these efforts by the Russian leadership. This is very promising for the future because Ukrainians believe that this stubbornness is an indication that the aggressive and expansionist policies of President Vladimir Putin will never succeed. The war launched by the President Vladimir Putin will not be limited to Ukraine. Putin's goal is to revive the great Russian Tsardom. This means that the vast geography is under Russian threat. Ukraine is an outpost in the vast geography. It was the Ukraine that the first resisted to the Russian expansionism began. And if this resistance in Ukraine is stopped, Russian expansionism will first reach Europe, but then what will happen? Do the frequent attacks by the Ukrainian sabotage groups show that the Russian leadership invasion plans? How do you assess the recent attacks on the United Russia Party official? How effective is the resistance of the inhabitants of the occupied Ukrainian territory? Let me know in your comments, because I read and I care about all of your comments.